Hello there, good morning to you. This is Kakaaki Social. I'm Obozeghie. Now, it was a Black Christmas on Monday as gunmen sent about 58 persons to their early grave. Now, this morning, the number has risen to 113. The renewed attack was on several villages of Bokos and Barakin Laden local government areas of the state. The attack made more internally displaced persons as well as about 1,000 persons were also became IDPs because their houses and properties were set ablaze, and that's a visual right there on your screen. Such a sad day. A sad way also to mark the birth of our Lord Jesus. Now let's see how this went down yesterday on social media. Let's bring in more reactions at this point. She long seems to have lost people, and she says, I was busy praying for the peace of Mangu and Bokos, yet sorrow found its way to my home. My dad's eldest sister, whom is very old, was brutally murdered, her son, a reverend, and her other son, Uncle Ibrahim, 3 people in my family murdered by Fulani terrorists calling God. And then Bello says, more than 70 lives expired at once, and that would just be the end of it as usual. Defense budget in Algeria is $20 billion, but the entire budget of Nigeria with a bigger challenge in every sector is just $25 billion. The rest of our Commonwealth enters private pocket. And then for Ellen, it says, at the center of our country, like Plateau, and this keep happening, and the numerous security agencies cannot follow and uncover the assailant. There is always the same story and excuses. When we are serious about stamping our criminals, we would do the right thing. And final thought on that is coming in from Tosin, who says, these are some of the things that the President SSA doesn't want us talking about so that we don't drive away investors. Instead of fixing problems, they focus on keeping people quiet about those things. Those people were just having a normal Christmas, and now may their soul rest in peace. We all know nobody will be held accountable for these senseless killings. All right, we hope that we don't have the same story as always. Now, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kukah, has promised President Muhammadu Buhari that not God, not history will forgive him if he fails Nigerians. In his Christmas message, Bishop Kukah hopes that President Tinubu's years of preparation for presidency gave him enough time to have answers for the country's problems. Now, except from what he said during his message, he says, Mr. President, you have no excuses before God or the people of Nigeria. Neither God nor history will not forgive you if you fail. This is our moment, our date with history. Now all eyes and ears are on you. Our prayers for a united nations or country are with you. It says, you are in the driving seat now. Under your watch, Nigeria must turn the corner. Under your watch, we must end the ugly instrumentalization of religious, ethnic, and regional identities. You have had enough time to think of the answers to many questions that are crying for answers. Your future and that of our country is in your hands. And finally, it says, for years, you fought the military and other forms of dictatorships. For years, you fought for the victims of a deep state. For years, you sought to create an egalitarian society. For years, you sought a just society. For years, you have built networks with individuals, communities, and institutions. Now is the harvest time. And then reacting to this is this user, Mike, who says, Tinubu will fail if he continues with the ways his administration is doing stuff. Tinubu should fight, chase, and holistically and drastically focus on corruption. The past administration stinks and therefore should be investigated from top to bottom, especially with Emefiele exposing. Emotion says, Nigerian youth should not wait for God or history not to forgive him. We are the ones that will determine what we want, and every decision we take, God and history will support it. We should take note. And more thoughts is coming from Almona, who says, does a criminal fear God? Kukah, should not disturb God where he is, because other countries also have God. Every society has a type of leaders it deserves. Nigeria has gotten theirs. Okay, for Olajoke, he says, I hope this is not late, sir, because it does look like it's going to be a success story from the person in concern and the cabinet members. You know, President Tinubu has said many times that he would fire any of his cabinet members who did not deliver. I think they have about 6 months, you know, before the first review comes into place. Now, away from that, and based on popular demand, the Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara has addressed his people on a state-wide broadcast. You know, he was talking about the 8-point resolution that was reached at the presidential villa on the political crisis that is rocking or has rocked the state of you know, and he says that in a Christmas message, he denied assenting to the peace pact under duress, as has been speculated in corners of the social media space.
I have taken some time to study the terms therein and have come to the conclusion that the peace pact is not as bad as it might be portrayed by those genuinely opposed to it. It is certainly not a death sentence. It affords some way towards a lasting peace and stability in our dear states. Accordingly, I reaffirm my acceptance of the Presidential Peace Proclamation and my commitment to implementing both the spirit and the letter of the declaration in such a way and manner that will restore political stability.
All right, let's see how it went down on social media yesterday, on X particularly. Oprah says the fear of January Supreme Court judgment, January 15 or thereabout, is the beginning of wisdom. So he thinks that he had to do what he did because he still has Supreme Court to go. And then Slim Dandy says, please, someone should help me tell Sim Fubara that politics isn't for a weak man like him. If you want to fight, stand out well and let the people see and stand firm by your side. Wike should be taught a lesson of his lifetime before meeting his ancestors. And then for Benson, it says, is it not better for him to embrace peace than violence, as he's been counseled by political naive people? If the state is thrown into chaos, the president has the constitutional power to declare a state of emergency, which will make him lose his mandate. And then for Chooks, it says, so long as we don't hear that he has cross-carpeted from PDP to APC, whatever he feels is right to ensure peace in the state and allow him to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people, he can do that. But the Riverians should abandon him if it decomes from PDP to APC. And then for Henry Olanikpeko, he says the governor is inviting more troubles on a daily basis. I'm sure he's not committed to any agreement. If he is, by now we would have seen the move. Is it in the new year he would represent the budget? What about the House? Have they had a sitting that will comprise both the factions? Okay, quite a number of thoughts right there. Even to withdraw the cases, we've learned that he's still on it, while the other parties have withdrawn theirs. Now to our final story. It happened last week. It's of a husband who is about dumping his wife. He's sending her packing. This is because he had planned to stay in the UK as a dependent on his wife, who should be schooling. Now, it turned out that the wife failed her master's programs exams and they are asked to leave the UK. Now, the man is so angry. His wife's education was what he banked on to leave Nigeria and then to stay in the UK. But unfortunately, they have to return. The wife has given her own account in a voice note, and she says her husband is aware that she's not book smart.
I told my husband that I don't want to go to school again because I know what I suffered the last time. I don't want to go to school again. But he was like, no, let's go to the UK, let's go to the UK. I told him, let me get something doing here in Nigeria, open me a business. I want to do a business. I know that my head is not strong for book, but I can do business because I know I'm very street smart. But because everybody is going to UK, he said he wants to go to UK. You know before now that my head cannot carry book. I've not even reached UK. You impregnated me. Share is with the pregnancy that I'll use and be reading book. You are complaining that I failed and that you wish you married your ex. please, as we are going back to Nigeria like this, he should go back and marry that his ex, because I'm not doing again. Like, okay, you come and do the studying, let me do the working. He said, no, I should study, I should study. You're seeing all the time that I'm paying people to do assignments for me. You cannot help me and do the assignments since you're claiming that you are smart. I've been suffering. That's how he talks to me anyhow. He makes me feel very worthless. Me, I know I can do other things. I can do business. But with the way it is now, but I'm not even interested in this marriage again.
All right, so that's our own side of the story. Just some thoughts on Instagram before we go. This user says, I love how self-aware she is. She knew her limitations and wanted to work within her boundaries. Only problem is that she married a charlatan. UK is really the safety net of Nigerian married women abuse in Nigeria. And then for this user, Bola, it says, for the mere fact that he could downgrade her in public and compare her to his ex shows how much of a manipulative man he is. Also shows how he constantly makes her feel less of herself. You don't use someone else's standard to judge another. If you were so smart, you could have opted to learn instead. And finally, Numi says, some people don't do well under pressure. Her pregnancy, the whole pressure of how they stay depends on her, accompanied with the studying. It's not easy. I beg. Well, it's their marriage. Let's see. I hope they are able to resolve it. But now that the woman is saying that she's also done because she feels worthless in the marriage. But then it is well with them. That's how we call it a day today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'll see you again tomorrow.